Hello everyone, I'm Betty, and I'd like to share a significant chapter of my life, one that involves challenges with my in-laws and my husband while navigating a difficult divorce. I hope my story resonates with anyone who's faced unfair criticism from their in-laws. Let me take you back to where it all began. I met Kevin, my now estranged husband, on a dating app when I was a 20-year-old college student. Kevin was 26, established, and financially stable. Despite our age difference, we fell in love quickly. I've always believed that love isn't confined by age or appearance, so Kevin's being older was never an issue for me. However, Kevin struggled with our age gap. He often asked, "Why are you with me, Betty? You could find someone your age, someone who might be a better match," but I chose him because I loved him, and to me, age was just a number. Kevin's insecurities ran deep, and he would press, "There must be another reason. It's not normal for someone like you to be with someone like me. Please, just tell me the real reason." I reassured him again and again that my feelings were genuine, that I wasn't interested in dating someone my age. I loved him for who he was, and that was what mattered to me. Yet, his self-doubt remained, hinting at deeper issues of self-esteem that seemed to have kept him single before we met. Wanting to prove my love, I made sure Kevin never spent excessively on me. As a college student, I wasn't wealthy, but I bought him thoughtful gifts and managed my own finances. I worked part-time jobs, ensuring I wasn't financially dependent on him. Kevin seemed to appreciate these efforts, but sadly, his insecurities didn't fade. He continued to question the sincerity of my love, which hurt deeply. It took 3 years before I truly understood where Kevin's issues were coming from. When I met his parents, Samuel and Charlotte, I began to see the root of his struggles. Samuel, Kevin's father, had experienced a sudden windfall when he won the lottery, which changed their lives overnight. This newfound wealth gave me insight into the environment that shaped Kevin's views and insecurities. After winning the lottery, Samuel and Charlotte bought a lavish house and invested wisely. However, their wealth came with a sense of superiority. During our first meeting, Samuel boasted, "Not everyone makes it big like I did. I worked hard, and look where it got me. Do you know how rare it is to win the lottery? I did it on my first try." They were proud of their financial success, often implying that Kevin, despite his college education, would never reach their level. Charlotte often hinted that Kevin's previous partners had only been after his money, leaving him once they were financially secure. They openly doubted his ability to make good decisions, which infuriated me. It was clear that Kevin's parents painted every woman he dated as a gold digger, and over time, Kevin started to believe this narrative. The insinuation that I, too, was just after his money became an embarrassing and hurtful part of their story. Fed up with their baseless assumptions, I finally stood up for both Kevin and myself. "I'm sorry, but I have to disagree," I said. "Kevin has worked hard to build his career, and in time, he will achieve even greater success. But that doesn't mean women are after his money." Samuel retorted, "That doesn't change the fact that women only want him for money. We worked hard for what we have, but Kevin does co-own the house. Eventually, it will be his. Every time these girls see our $350,000 house, I swear, they just see dollar signs." I couldn't hold back any longer. "I can't speak for Kevin's past relationships, but I'm certainly not in this for the money. I love your son, and that's why we're together. I have no interest in your house." Charlotte then said, "Don't worry, Betty. Sometimes it's hard to accept that people can be successful and live in nice houses. You live in a small rented apartment with roommates. You might start desiring it after spending time around our house." Their comments pushed me to my limits. I was on the verge of losing my temper, but Kevin, who had been listening, said nothing. He didn't defend me or himself. Instead, he changed the subject. On our way home, I was taken aback by his indifferent attitude after such a tense visit with his parents. I knew I had to address the issue directly with Kevin. "Kevin, your parents are being unfair and hurtful to both of us. Why didn't you stand up for me?" Kevin sighed, his frustration clear. "What did you expect me to say, Betty? My past isn't exactly encouraging. I've been used before by people who only saw my parents' wealth, making plans for when they'd inherit the house. Even if they were wrong about those women, that doesn't mean they're wrong about everything. I felt a pang of hurt. Even if those women were after your money, that doesn't mean I am. It hurts that you stayed silent while your family insulted me." Kevin looked conflicted. "You know my family's wealthy now, and maybe they have a point. I'm not accusing you of having bad intentions. but I can see why it might look questionable to others. You don't have parents, and because of that, you might seem more reliant on my inheritance." His words were almost too much to bear. "What you're suggesting is absurd, Kevin. I've never pressured you to spend on me. Not having an inheritance doesn't make me a gold digger." Kevin remained stubborn, unwilling to see my side. "I love you, and that's what matters. Let's not argue about this anymore," he said, dismissing the conversation. While some might have found comfort in his declaration of love, I couldn't shake the feeling that he still doubted my intentions. I tried to discuss it again, even suggesting therapy to help him see things more clearly, but he refused, insisting there was nothing wrong. As time went on, I began distancing myself from his family. We got engaged right after I graduated from college, and I landed a decent job, which allowed me to start saving for our wedding. We shared the wedding expenses equally and married when I was 23. However, the next 4 years of our marriage were rocky. Kevin frequently visited his parents, returning each time more distant and upset. I knew Samuel and Charlotte were still poisoning his mind, continuing to brand me as a gold digger. Despite my pleas for him to reduce contact with them, Kevin kept seeing his parents often. Their negative influence started to deeply affect his view of our relationship, making him believe no one could love him for who he was.
Even after years of my unwavering love, Kevin's suspicions towards me never seemed to ease. The constant need to prove my sincerity grew more exhausting. But the moment that truly tested us came on Kevin's birthday. Wanting a low-key celebration, we decided to have a small cake party at home. Excited to make his day special, I surprised him with the expensive watch he'd admired for so long. Kevin was thrilled with the gift, but my heart sank when he suggested we show it off to his parents. Despite my hesitation, I agreed. When we arrived at his parents' house, Kevin couldn't wait to show off the new watch. "Mom, Dad, look at this beautiful watch Betty got me. I've wanted it for so long. Isn't it stunning?" His enthusiasm was palpable. Charlotte responded with a hint of surprise. "Oh, Kevin, it seems she does love you after all." We were quite worried for some time. But Samuel quickly added, "Don't be fooled, old Charlotte, she's a gold digger. She married our son because we have a $350,000 house. Let's not ignore the facts." I couldn't hold back my frustration. "Excuse me, why do you think I married your son for your house? I had been working and living in an apartment for years. Besides, if age was really a concern, why would I marry someone older unless I truly loved him?" I said, trying to hold my ground. "I assure you, I didn't marry Kevin for his money or for your house. I married him because I love him. Surely Kevin can confirm that, right?" To my shock, Kevin remained silent. His unwillingness to defend me in front of his accusing parents was unsettling, and I felt my heart sink. I looked at him, hoping for some reassurance, but he avoided my gaze. The silence between us grew heavy, his lack of response amplifying the harsh assumptions of his family. The more they criticized me, the more isolated I felt. Pushed to my limit, I finally confronted him. "Kevin, why aren't you saying anything? Your parents have always labeled me a gold digger. How will they ever see the real me if you don't speak up? Why are you so quiet? Tell them they're wrong." Kevin hesitated, his discomfort clear. He muttered, I don't know what you want me to say, Betty. Maybe my parents aren't completely wrong. There might be a possibility." His words trailed off, but the implication was unmistakable. The doubt in his voice, the hesitation to stand by me, was more than just a misunderstanding. It was a crack in the foundation of our relationship, a crack that threatened to cast a shadow over everything. My love for him, my place in his life, suddenly felt uncertain. The atmosphere at Kevin's birthday celebration, which had been intended to be special, quickly turned sour. I couldn't believe the accusations that were flying my way. "Are you serious right now, Kevin? You believe I married you for your assets?" His parents chimed in, their suspicion thick in the air. "Oddly, you've never talked about buying a house, have you? For someone renting, owning a home should be a priority. Our place is out of your price range. You could never afford something like this on your own, so marrying Kevin and settling here seems more logical." Kevin looked at me, his face a mixture of doubt and confusion. "Yeah, Betty, why would you marry me? You might have feelings for me, but I think there's more to it than just love." I was left speechless by their words. All the love and affection I had once felt for Kevin seemed to vanish in an instant. It wasn't just his parents' skepticism that hurt, it was Kevin's agreement with them that cut the deepest. In that moment, I knew I had to end our marriage, but I didn't reveal my decision right away. Instead, I waited for the right moment. Once Kevin and I were back home, I contacted a lawyer and began the divorce process. The lawyer reassured me that everything would be finalized within the week. In the meantime, I moved into a separate room to give myself some space. Kevin thought I was just cooling off. He had no idea what my intentions really were. When the divorce papers were ready, I packed my things and left. Kevin, clearly distressed, called me in a panic. I told him to meet me at a specific address and to bring his parents. He was confused, but he agreed. When they arrived, I was standing on the porch of a stunning house. Their expressions shifted as they took in the luxurious surroundings. "You must be wondering why I brought you here," I said, gesturing to the grand estate. "It's a beautiful house, isn't it? No one can compare their home to this one. It's worth around $3 million in today's market, quite expensive, right?" The dramatic setting was my way of showing them that their accusations were unfounded. I wasn't the person they thought I was, and I needed to make that clear, loudly and undeniably. "But it's worth every penny," I added, pointing to the lavish interior. "The furniture alone was worth millions." "What is this place, Betty?" Kevin asked, his confusion evident. "I don't understand why you have access to such a house." "Why don't you all come inside so we can talk properly?" I suggested, brushing off their astonishment. "I can't explain everything standing here on the porch." They followed me inside, their eyes widening at the opulent decor that greeted us. The owners had spared no expense in furnishing their home. As we settled into plush sofas, I took a deep breath, ready to address the elephant in the room. "I've made a decision," I said, my voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside me. "That's why we're here. I filed for divorce." I handed Kevin the papers. "We can proceed with an uncontested divorce if you agree." Kevin looked at me, his voice filled with confusion and concern. "What? I don't understand. Why are you filing for divorce?" "It's simple," I replied, my tone firm. "You and your parents think I'm a gold digger. You believe I married you for your house and your money. Despite everything I've said, you've refused to listen, so it's better for everyone if I leave, sparing you from what you deem my gold-digging tendencies." Kevin's disbelief was palpable. "You're considering divorce just because my parents spoke what they believed to be the truth? That's ridiculous." "I think it's for the best," I said, resolute. Kevin's mother, watching the exchange with an unreadable expression, finally chimed in. "If she's so adamant, you should just sign the papers, Kevin. At least then you can find someone who truly loves you." Kevin turned to me. "Why did you bring us to this house, Betty? Do you expect me to buy this for you as part of our divorce settlement?" I looked at him calmly. "Why would I need you to buy this house, Kevin? This house is already mine." Their jaws dropped in shock. "What? How can you afford a house like this? You're renting, and your job isn't enough to cover something like this. Stop lying to us," Kevin's father demanded, his voice sharp with suspicion. I could see their disbelief, but I was ready to prove something far bigger than my financial independence. This revelation wasn't just about money, it was about declaring my autonomy. I had done it on my own, and I would never allow their doubts to define me again. "This house is mine," I repeated firmly, "and this is how I'm changing everything between us. Our relationship dynamics are forever altered." "I'm not lying," I asserted, my voice steady as I saw the disbelief in their eyes. "Kevin, remember when I told you my parents left me an inheritance? This house is part of it. It's in a trust for now, but I'll officially inherit it when I turn 31. I don't need a high-paying job because I have a trust fund waiting for me." "That's impossible," Kevin interrupted, his face etched with confusion. "Your parents passed away years ago. They should have given you the house by now." I took a deep breath. "My parents knew there were people who might try to take advantage of me," I explained. "They put everything in a trust to protect it until I was old enough to understand what it meant. They wanted me to be settled with someone who genuinely cared about me, not someone who was after my money." Kevin's mother looked taken aback. "Oh my God, Betty, you should have told us about this. We had no idea. This is a beautiful house. We could all live here very comfortably." "Yeah, you should have shared that earlier," Kevin added, now looking relieved, though still somewhat embarrassed. "We thought you were after our house. If we'd known." "I always knew Betty was perfect for Kevin," his father chimed in, his tone shifting as he eyed the lavish surroundings. "Look at this, she's a great match for him. Look at her wealth." I couldn't help but laugh at the sudden shift in their attitude. It was dizzying how quickly their views of me had changed. But what struck me even more was how easily they'd forgotten about the divorce papers I had brought. "Anyway," I said, pulling the divorce papers from my bag, "here's my signature for an uncontested divorce. You can sign these if you agree. If not, we can take it to court, but I won't live with you anymore." Kevin looked at me, his eyes desperate. Wait, Betty, listen. There's no need to rush. You've proven you're not a gold digger. There's no reason to get a divorce now. We apologize for the misunderstanding. Doesn't that make things better? Kevin's parents nodded in agreement, but their words only fueled my frustration. I don't want your insincere apologies, I said, my voice firm. For 3 years, you allowed your family to label me a gold digger. You could have defended me, but you sided with them. You even accused me of it. I can't stay with someone who doesn't respect his wife. I'm done. They pleaded with me, asking me to overlook the past, but their lack of genuine remorse made it clear that nothing had truly changed. When I reached my breaking point, I demanded they leave, threatening to call the police if they didn't. My firm stance left them no choice but to leave. In the weeks that followed, Kevin and his parents relentlessly harassed me. They begged, pleaded, and even offered bribes, thinking money could sway my decision. It only fueled my anger, revealing their continued view of me as someone driven by financial gain. Ironically, since Kevin co-owned the house with his parents, I was entitled to half of his share, which only added to their desperation for reconciliation. Despite their relentless attempts, I stayed firm in my resolve to end things. I moved all my belongings to my parents' house, asserting my right to stay there, even before officially inheriting the property. Kevin and his family kept trying to reach me, but I changed my number to cut them off. Kevin even showed up at my workplace, but I had already informed security, and they asked him to leave. He still hadn't signed the divorce papers, holding on to hope that I would change my mind. Almost a year had passed, and the situation remained unresolved, a testament to the complexity and emotional weight of our lives entangled together. But I had made it this far on my own. I was financially stable, and though I had gone on a few dates, I wasn't ready for anything serious yet. A cousin of Kevin's told me his family was now scrambling to pay me my rightful share of the house. Their legal fees were mounting, and their savings were running low. Kevin had even suggested selling the house, harboring resentment toward his parents for the chaos they'd caused in his life. At this point, I couldn't care less about their dilemmas. My only focus was to be free from their toxic influence and move on with my life, leaving behind the chaos and negativity that had plagued me for so long.